Welcome to another Sports and Songs podcast tonight. We're in season 6, episode number 31. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how are you?
I am good. This is our first regular show in a while. We've had some interviews the last couple of weeks.
Tonight is a Monday. It's we're getting caught up with some things. It's our sports edition. A lot of sports to get caught up on here. Basically, high school now is done. The students' academics are done. There's still some residual playoffs going on for the state tournament and whatnot. We'll get into that. But let's first start off with the trivia question, then we'll get into the sports.
Okay.
Now, Andy, here is what was unfurled today in the city of Waconia.
The Waconia.
This was unfurled today. On the right-hand side there, you see the Class C Waconia Lakers state championship banner unfurled today. The question is, if you look at it, next to it is the state high school championship, the team that went undefeated back in 2017. The trivia question is, if you know your Waconia sports, who was the head coach for both of those teams? Who was the head coach or the manager for both of those baseball squads? We'll get to the answer.
I do have one thing on that, though.
Yes.
The Waconia Lakers, halfway through the season, we had them on as a guest of the show, and they were basically undefeated after that.
Yes, we had
an state title after being on our show.
And they went on a run and won the whole thing after our interview right here at the Sports and Songs.
Yep. All we do is breed champions.
Yes, so keep that in mind if you want your upcoming interview or team focused on here in the future. It's always good things happening. Let's hear some sports.
Karma being a good word here.
Karma, yes.
This was actually, if there's something that could be worse than the soapbox.
Okay.
Miss Simone Biles kind of put her foot in her mouth this weekend. This came out from U.S. Olympic. Simone Biles has been suspended from competing on Team USA, pending a disciplinary hearing after her body-shaming incident with fellow women's sports champion Riley Gaines. Simone's comments crossed the line. Oh, wow. Her zero-tolerance policy for bullying. What could sweet, innocent Simone have done? Simone Biles tweeted, "Riley Gaines, you're truly sick. All this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Maybe a transgender category in all sports. But instead, you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around."
Wow.
Here it is. Calls them sick. God made us male and female, not to oppress, is what one person said. It gets better for Miss Simone. In 2018, Simone revealed she wears sweaters or jackets all year long due to being bullied for her muscles. Last night, she attacked Riley Gaines, claiming Riley looks like a male. Now, there's a picture of the two of them. If Riley's the one who looks like a male, yeah. Just saying. But Simone, back in a while ago, had tweeted, 2025, Simone, fact of 2017, was truly sick. Good thing guys don't compete against girls, or he'd take all the gold medals, she said. Back there. She's kind of flipping around. She also had stuff, Simone was basically saying that men would dominate women. They shouldn't be in sport. But yet now she's coming out, they say the same. I keep waiting for someone to come out and say Simone Biles is like on the dope or something. I don't know. Her stuff came out of totally out of left field. Just attacks Riley. I spoke to a friend of mine. She's a former collegiate swimmer at South Dakota State University. Yes. Friends with someone who went to South Dakota State University.
Oh.
But we were speaking at church, so it was okay. She kind of agrees with us, Dan. Our point of view is what you do at home is your business. But being a trans in a sport and taking the scholarships away and competing is wrong. And I asked her, I said, could you have competed if you knew there was a trans on the other team? She goes, today, yes, I could say I probably would have, but I don't know back then in the moment if I would have. You know, kind of like if you win the lottery, you can say what you're going to do until you get that check. You know,
until you get it.
She goes, I probably would, but she goes, but if I knew another team didn't want to, or one of my teammates didn't want to, I have no problem supporting them and not competing then too. You know.
Yeah, and
I think those of us at South Dakota State, we were smart enough when we scheduled. We didn't schedule that stuff. Now, you don't know what's going to happen throughout the year, who you're going to meet in tournaments or events and that, but you tried not to schedule stuff like that. But it is what it is sometimes. You know, it was a high, you know, I like to say I would still do it because, you know, the competitor in you comes out. You know, you know you're not going to win, but you want to give it your best and not be bullied by this man. You know, I just think it comes down to the whole, should there be separate sports for trans? Well, they tried it with swimming a while ago and no one showed up. You know, is it a work in progress? Do they have to keep working at it to try? Sure. And the Olympics, should there be men's, women's, and trans? Maybe not right away. You know, let's not waste our, okay, this is going to come out wrong. Let's not waste our time and money and efforts on something that no one's going to go to. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
So you said it came out of left field, you know, and I agree there was nothing in gymnastics going on. Simone has not been active recently on Twitter as far as I know. I don't follow her, but this just came out of the blue. And you know, she encourages Riley Gaines to, you know, go help out and get a new community, get another tournament or something going on. I have no problem, you know, with advocating for that, but I do have a problem with her saying no one's safe around Riley.
Right, that's the one that really blew me away.
Against, you know, she's not for the trans community. Riley may be for the trans community. I don't know if she is or not. I know for sports she's not. In collegiate sports, she's not, and I'm proud to say that I'm not either, or in youth sports. After you're 18, after you graduate college, you can compete in all the sports you want at whatever gender you are, I think. But it is unfair at the college level for NCAA Division I, as is high school. So I agree with Riley on that point. But there is a lot of people talking about this stuff. And when you hear it, their first line of defense is just like what Simone says. You're either a bigot or you have hate if you don't want men in sports. You're against the whole thing. We should be afraid of you, afraid of our safety around these people.
Right.
I've never ever run across anyone that has ill will or hatred or wants to beat up a trans. I'd never even heard of that.
No,
I don't think people do. Why would they care? So there's no safety issues involved. Yes, they can do whatever they want on their own time. Behind closed doors on the weekends and nights. Just don't bring it into the sports as a youth is all that we're saying. As an underage high school player or a college participant where you're still, you know, you're maybe 18, 19 years old. I would say when you're out of college, you can do whatever you want, you know, 20, 21, 22 years old, 23, but just not have it be in the sports. And I think that's all that Riley has said since day one.
Yeah. There's never, as far as I know, where a trans athlete's been somewhere and violence has broken out. Never heard of that.
I don't even know where that comes from.
And if there has been, it's been very minimal and it hasn't been a big deal, you know.
But I think it's also a narrative that people are pushing, and her comments on her tweet is not something that just came out of her head and wrote it down one day. That's a narrative. She had all the things, all the bullet points in there. Then she decided to push and press tweet. So
Yeah, that wasn't Simone had too many White Claws that night and went crazy online. No, that wasn't that.
That had
was
all the
well-thought
earmarks of going after someone. And once again, Riley's done a very good, I think, a tremendous job in what she's been doing to keep it civil, to keep it not hostile. Just pointing out the fact that there are certain things you can do, certain things you cannot do. You cannot. That's not the way we do it here.
Girls state softball is completed. There is your 3A champions, Rocori, the Rocori Spartans. 2A, St. Cloud Cathedral Crusaders.
Okay.
And your A champions, the United South Central Raiders. Baseball, I don't have the brackets here. They are wrapping up this weekend. Here are the brackets. I don't have how they got down this far, though. So pardon me for that.
Yeah, all the sectional tournaments were completed.
So here is A.
Good stuff.
Yep. I don't have the sections like, hey, here's how that section finished. This is just the brackets. So there you go. Now there's New Ulm sitting there at number 2. New Ulm Cathedral, I'm sorry. I want to make that straight. Frazee over there on their side. Parker's Prairie. Red Lake County. Let's go Red Lake. Double A. Perham. Perez are a couple teams over there on the one side. And then, of course, you got your Glencoe Silver Lakes here on the right side bottom there. Your 5-2A. Triple A. Hutchinson, or as those of us here in the West Metro, Hutch. It's called Hutch. Simley's over there. You got your Mankato East, your Grand Rapids, and the Delano representing out there too. So, and then there it is. 4A, you got Minnetonka, then 7 other teams. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, Minnetonka, that's all that cares. Girls the World Collegiate or Women's Collegiate World Series. I knew I'd mess
E1 championships. Yeah. Yes.
Went 3 games, most watched, 2.4 million viewers. Most ever. Congratulations to Texas. They're the champs. Now, here's this guy here. Kyle Riley, Seattle. He's on pace for 64 homers and 133 RBIs. But since he doesn't play in New York or California, no one hears about it. He's just kind of quietly plugging along up there in Seattle. And, it's like when Louis Arise was here with Minnesota and Tampa and just quietly got the batting title. No one cared because he wasn't in the big city. I hope this guy gets 80 home runs and 200 RBIs and shatters the records and no one says boo. They're going to cry wolf. If he breaks it, they're going to find some excuse.
He's not going to like it. Yeah.
So I'm glad he's just kind of quietly getting along. He's on pace. So congratulations, Cal. And here's the other thing. Is he going to get an invite for the Home Run Derby? Because his name's not brought up. Is he going to be the representative for the All-Star game? Or is he going to be voted as a starter? These numbers and he's not voted as a starter, something's wrong with society.
Yeah, they do like, and Andy, you're right. They do like to push their guy, their person, their team for the Major League Baseball. And Cal's not on the team. He's not the guy. So now they're stuck because Ohtani's not doing it or Aaron Judge. And so this guy comes out of nowhere and he's doing it. Now, all I can say is this guy is locked in. I mean, he's hitting everything. And I don't know if it's going to be a 1 or 2 month phase. Is he going to drop back down to reality or normal? But he's on a pace now for some huge numbers, and it's fun to watch. Wow. Talk about a guy that the average fan doesn't even know, especially on the mainstream news, MLB.com. This guy's not all over the front page.
And like I said, for the All-Star game, I was looking at, I think it was MLB.com or something like that the other day. They're like, hey, who's the one lock of every team that should make it for the All-Star game? For the Braves, they had Acuna Jr. on there. The guy's been back for 2 weeks. Well, he should be in the All-Star game. He shouldn't even be on the ballot.
Yeah.
Crying out loud.
It's fun to watch. It is very strange, though.
Speaking of, kind of like a Nolan, Stats-wise like this, I compare Skeens to Nolan Ryan. 7.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, a walk, and 7 Ks. No decision. 1.88 ERA this year, and he has 1 win in his last 7 starts, despite having a 1.12 ERA over those 7 starts. That was Nolan Ryan. He go 8-16 and have be third for ERA and lead the league in strikeouts. It's Ryan had a few of those years. DeGrom, before he got hurt with the Mets, his last year was having a year like that. Again, here's a guy who's going to go to one of the big markets for the money. I pray to God every night he doesn't. No, stay in Pittsburgh, play for the most you can, and just destroy the record book in Pittsburgh. You can make so much more money on advertising. Oh, yeah, you can make billions in New York with advertising and this and that. You can still make enough money to have a very nice life for you and your grandchildren playing in Pittsburgh with endorsements and everything else afterwards. So just be a dude and stay there. Show everybody you're different.
Yeah, the thing is with Pittsburgh is that they're not that good as a team, and they've got this star power, who's a starting pitcher. So now the fans who want to go are not going to pick just any game to go to. They want to make sure now that he's starting that day. So I think we're going to see some attendance way up on days he starts at home and then drops back down. So he's still helping the team, the stadium, the community. But boy, if a guy like this was an everyday player, that would really help them out. Yeah. But it'll be fun to watch how this pans out. He's a stud.
Chicago Cubs took the field in the bottom of the first the other day. This was over the weekend. Every player 1 through 9 was a first-round draft pick.
Wow.
That should have been a bigger story in baseball community. 9 first-rounders on the field at the same time. Cubs are the first team to ever do that in Major League Baseball history.
This is a team to watch, I think.
As of the other day when I looked at one point, they would be the number 1 seed in the National League.
They're just doing it all.
Them and the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Just let that sit in for a little bit. Think back a couple years ago.
Just think.
Really? Cubs and Tigers? Really? Uh-huh.
And talk about 2 teams that the MLB does not want in the postseason.
Well, the Cubs would kind of get some viewerships, but they don't want the Tigers.
Oh, my gosh.
Quote of the week. Now, I don't have the results for the French Open, but this happened at the French Open.
Perfect.
That's tennis, in case you weren't familiar.
Okay.
My girl, Chrissy Everett-Lloyd, one of the players, she complained about losing afterwards. And Chrissy says, if you're the number 1 in the world or number 2 in the world, you should know how to play on windy days by now. Because she was complaining, oh, it's so windy, I didn't know how to play. You're one of the top 2 players in the world, and you haven't figured out how to play in the wind?
Great quote.
You play on grass, clay, and the regular surfaces. You can handle a little wind.
And that goes for, I would say, if you are in the top 100 ranked in the world,
you're good enough to be pro.
Phenomenal athletes, phenomenal tennis players. But yes, if you get to 1 and 2, if you can't play in the wind, you certainly don't use that as an excuse. You certainly don't play that card, right?
You qualify for the French Open, you know how to play in the wind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with Chris' quote.
Minnesota State tournament for wrestling is going from 3 days to 3.5 days.
Okay.
I don't know if that's to give more time for the gals in there. Maybe they were getting late nights, and they're going to kind of have a first, that kite championship day. They'll have I don't know how they're going to do that with the kids getting too many matches in a day. I don't know.
That's
half day is going to be.
I haven't heard of that. Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that works out. But
you think, Andy, the only thing I can think of is that they'll have the team tournament and event all in one evening session for the team.
That's what I'm guessing.
On a Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is all individuals and the girls, everybody.
Well, it's another day for tickets to the door.
It's a big event. Yes.
All right. After 11 seasons and helping lead the Huskers to a Class A wrestling power, Olin and his family are moving back to Southwest Minnesota. He's going to go back and coach down at Canby. So, high school coaching change there. Another high school coaching change, 3-time Augsburg All-American. Nielsen is going back to coach at Prior Lake. So there's two big schools, two good schools getting new coaches coming in.
Wow.
So wow. Max Iverson from the Delano will be playing for the Bison, playing basketball there this year, committed. You think I talked about the Bison a lot. Now we got kind of a local kid over there. Buckle up, baby. Bison basketball this year. And that, sir, is what I got. I also want to go back to this.
We're also going to follow Lawson Eller at the Bison from New Prague Wrestling.
Yep.
He's committed to go there. Look for him to be an immediate starter there that first year, next year on the squad. Good athlete. All right.
I got to go back to one thing I had on there.
Go ahead.
Start sending the letters in. You're right. We didn't mention the 4A girls softball champion. Because in my opinion, they're the co-ed state champions, not the women's girls champions. I'm not even going to give the school the name. No, they don't deserve it. I'm not going to mention it. But I'm not going to say the second place team should have won either, because the tournament would have played different if the co-ed team wasn't allowed in. That's be kind of how the way we're going to handle things around here now. If a team has a co-ed on it and they win it, we're just going to skip that class and not even talk about it.
I like it. I wouldn't give
the stories on the socials. You'll see it on there, but yeah, we're not going to give it
the time of day. I wouldn't even give it the time of day. Now,
what you got?
UFL. Now, Andy, I always like to try to push the UFL here on the show, because not many podcasts do. I try to give it some love. They finished a 10-game regular season.
Yep.
They had the 2-round games, the weekend games yesterday for the conference finals. That took place. Those are done. Upcoming, it's going to be June 14th, 7 p.m. on ABC, Michigan Panthers against the DC Defenders. We'll go head-to-head. And then our little spring football is over. And once again, the thing that I like about this, it's during the spring. It's quick and easy, and it's off our backs. For those who don't like it, it shouldn't be a blink of an eye, and the whole season's done. But Birmingham got beat yesterday at home. Their record, Andy, since all this rejuvenated again, and Birmingham was like the hot spot during the COVID bubble and everything, they had never lost a postseason game at home. And they got beat at home. Now, DC Defenders also went on the road and won on the road. So 2 upsets, if you call them that, on the road. So these are both teams facing off against each other that were the second place finisher in each conference. The top team both got knocked out, and they played at home. They both lost at home. So look for this to be an evenly matched game. There's nothing after it. There's no Pro Bowl. It's just a championship game, and their season's done. Then they leave quietly. I really like the season that they do that there.
I think their version of the Pro Bowl is basically, if you watch The Wire the next few days, who gets an invite to camp in the NFL. That's basically the Pro Bowl. And
that's the real life. There's no voting. There's nothing. It's just if you get the invite and you're on a spring training or roster for an NFL team, that means you've done your job. And I think that also means that the UFL has done their job. Look at it as a minor league team, minor league system. So NBA Finals, Game 3, their series is tied 1 apiece for those who follow the NBA. NHL, for those who follow that, series is tied also. Stanley Cup, 1 game apiece. Now, Andy, D1 baseball. We're going to cover this a little more next week.
Their brackets are still wide open. Yep.
What they have for D1 baseball again is the regionals. Then they've got a super regionals round, and that's going to be ending tonight. The final team will punch their ticket tonight, and then they're going to be down to 8, the Elite 8 for D1 baseball. And this is the time of the year that they go to Omaha and play their World Series events. It's a double elimination. When it gets down to 2 teams, then they play a best of 3, and it's over. Fun stuff to watch. If you don't follow the first couple of rounds of these super regionals and the regionals that have been going on, make sure to tune in. This is some good baseball. It's aluminum bat.
Speaking of, in the first rounds of the College World Series, the bracket, the Bison did win 1 game, and they beat Kansas.
Okay, nice.
They did it. It's double elimination. They lost, but hey, they got a win. College basketball, and I'll say it, or past baseball, sorry, college baseball and the women's softball. I watched a lot of that these last few weeks. Because I try to look at it with different eyes. It's like, okay, I haven't watched this in a while. Gonna watch it. Don't have a team in the race. Just gonna watch.
Yep.
The fan interaction, the way the players get pumped for this, and it's not because you always see it in the championship games because that's all they televise, but they televise it all now. I'm going to put baseball and softball college tournaments up there with March Madness.
Yeah, I think that's
the
fair.
Players are so hyped and so into it. It's just a beautiful thing.
Now, for these kids too, the college students, I'll call them, the college year is done academically. The classes are done. They've taken their finals. Most of these kids have degrees or masters or whatever they're working on. And now you're playing this tournament. So it's one of those odd events once again, once the season ends. But it's fun to watch. There's 8 teams left for baseball. What I like to try to do is they've got their sort of called mock ratings, for the upcoming Major League Baseball draft, which is next month, middle of next month. And so this really impacts these players that are on these final 8 teams. Your stock could move up if you do really well. It could tank. You could get hurt. Your rankings could tank down. It's really going to impact those big names that are out there. So we'll be having more of this update on Monday next week on its show. But
and that's the same with college football with the bowl games. Only players sit out the bowl games because they don't want to get hurt unless you're in the tournament. Now they have a tournament for college football. It's kind of the same thing. That tournament football, if you're on the final, 12 teams now, that could make or break your draft career right there, how your team does, how you do.
Yes.
And that's the stories I got for baseball. This is your make or break, especially a pitcher. Look at years ago, Ben McDonald. He was going to be great. He was going to be a top pick, but that playoffs just iced it for him. Strasburg.
Yes.
Just iced it for him. Pretty sure he was going to be one of the top picks, not top pick, but the playoffs just kind of iced it, made it perfect.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch. And like you said earlier, you don't have to be a fan of any team. You don't have to be rooting for any team. There's no local teams in it anyway from our area. So It's fun to watch the big schools. There's a couple small schools in there. But D1 baseball, very good stuff. And double elimination, it'll wreak havoc on your pitching. You've got to get through. They have 3 starters all season long. And now you see what you can do, and you hope there's no injuries or anything there. But those will be fun to watch, and we'll see how that impacts the draft because as they have the Major League Baseball draft, it's now part of MLB All-Star Week, Home Run Derby, the Futures game, the Home Run Contest, and the Major League Baseball draft. So it's all part of that now. So it's next month. So those will be some familiar names if you get a chance to tune in. But good stuff. We'll report more on that next week.
Yes.
Now, trivia answer.
Yes.
Here we go. The banner. Here, Western or Carver County, Waconia's banner was unfurled. Class C state champions for the Lakers. Off to the left is the high school team. Back in 2017, went undefeated and won the state. Who was the head coach or the manager of both of those squads? What's the answer, Andy?
I don't know the answer, but I remember when we were at the post-game party for the 2024 championship, it was a lot of the same players that were on both teams. I know that.
A lot of the same players. So
who the manager was, the name slips my mind. Sorry, Coach, I cannot remember.
But you're right. It's Coach Fredericks. So AJ Frederick plays for the the local team and for the Lakers, and they won the state. That's his dad. His father managed the team that won Class C state. Also was the varsity coach, taking them to Target Field to win the Class 3A state title, in which most of those kids were seniors, and he was the head coach. They were all moving up to play amateur. They said, could you please come along with? We'd love to play for you. Great guy, great coach. The players love him. He went up, accepted the position, and went on to amateur without any real plans of doing that ever. Became the manager there for amateur and won. So the answer is him, both, manager Frederick. Freddie, they call him, and he won both of those. A big honor here in Waconia to win those. He has now retired. He took both of those teams to win the state, and retired and left on top for both of his reigns as the manager. You're able to leave on top without having that subsequent next season with everyone having the target on your back and everyone going after you to take down the champions. He was done. So,
and the way they went from Class C to Class A too, a lot of that pressure off of them too.
Yes. So, congrats there for that banner, to the teams, to the players. A lot of those guys converted over. They're on that same team. Very good to watch there now in Class A for Town Ball.
Town Ball has been picking up. You can check out your Crow River Valley League Review newspaper online for local stuff there.
This coming Saturday.
We do.
Hamburg is hosting the ABC Jamboree, Andy.
Yes.
And so what they did with Crow River, that's always historically been Class C and a couple of Class B teams over the years, the realignment has forced most of the Crow River into B and C, and only a couple teams now up into A. Hamburg, the Hawks, said, hey, let's have a little tournament, first annual. Hopefully it'll be something that'll be ongoing on an annual basis, to mix it up and have a tournament. And so they're having two teams where a B team plays a C. The second game is B versus a C. The later game at night is an A versus a B. No one in the tournament, or whatever they're calling it, is in the same class. So it's going to be for a lot of street cred, kind of good ego. It's street cred. They're playing for some rights, just to see, can you knock off
bragging rights at the bar afterwards.
Bragging rights. And I hope this continues. This is a great idea for this because of all the new alignment for Hamburg to step up and say, we're going to host this. It's $5 for adults for the entire day. I think you get a wristband. You can come and go as often as you need. Go to one game, go to all three. $5 gets you in. So we're going to be promoting that on Saturday. That's all we got for this week. Anything else, Andy?
That's what I got, man. Like I said, Crow or Town Ball in general has been blowing up right now. We're trying to get the most recent standings out all the time. New rankings come out tomorrow, I believe.
Nice.
So we'll get those online on our socials as soon as we can. Please go out and catch a game there. Even if it's a against B or A against C, B against C, whatever. A game's a game. Go watch them.
They're all good. And that's regardless of any of the leagues and conferences around the state. It doesn't matter what the classification. These are still good baseball games to watch. The state will certainly have a different feel to it, but that won't be until end of August. That won't be until end of August, September. So these are still June, July games. Are going to be fun to watch.
That's right.
Have a good week.
Yeah.